Hi, my name's Erika Stewart. I'm a third-generation rancher from Moore, Saskatchewan. Welcome back to our video series, A Day in the Life at Pine Ranch. Today we're doing another compare and contrast Saskatchewan versus BC video. So my friend Cassie Marchant is going to be joining us again from her family's ranch in Karamias, BC, and we're going to be comparing silaging. So our ranches are actually quite similar in that we both put up silage. Some ranches don't. Some ranches just put up hay or green feed, so there's lots of different options. So we just by chance are both our ranches are silaging, and we also use very similar equipment. And funny story I wanted to share is actually the chopper we have that you'll see in the videos, we actually bought from Cassie's family. So that chopper has been used on Cassie's family's ranch in Karamias, our ranch in BC, and then we brought it out here when we moved, so it's now being used in Saskatchewan. So I feel there'll be more similarities in this video than previous videos, but there are still some differences. The main difference, I think, would be irrigation. So all their hay fields or silage fields are irrigated. So essentially they can make it rain and aren't reliant on Mother Nature like we are. So in years like last year where it doesn't rain for us, we just have essentially a crop failure while they can kind of make it rain with irrigation, which is really nice. And it's funny because when we were in BC, all of our cropland was irrigated as well. And it was my summer job growing up when I was going to high school. And it's a lot of work, and when we were looking for ranches out here, I was so excited to never have to change irrigation pipes again. But now that we're out here and we've been through some drought, irrigation is really nice to have. I mean, it is a lot of work and it's expensive, but it helps to kind of guarantee you that winter feed supply. So I hope you really enjoy the videos and our Saskatchewan BC comparison. Here's a look at the crop that we're chopping. So this is the first year that we've planted a polycrop or a cocktail crop, whatever you want to call it. So basically it's just a multiple different species of plants in the same crop. So we've got oats here, we've got some triticale, we've got some peas, some different brassicas, clover, there's some sunflowers, I don't see any right here where we are. But the point of it is to have diverse species of plants. So they're all working together to give back to the soil and essentially helping to feed each other. So I think I've talked about it before that we're on a bit of a soil health venture at Pine Ranch. And it's something that I didn't know a bunch about before, or maybe just took it for granted. Of course, we need the soil to be functioning properly to grow crops for our cattle for winter feed, or even just to have good grasslands for good grazing. But I didn't really understand how it all worked or what we could do to help improve it. And so when you look at these things, the point of these like cocktail crops or cover crops or polycrops is to have different species. So different plants give different things. So our legumes like alfalfa or clover or peas, they actually put down a lot of nitrogen. So they're helping to feed the other plants and just helping to have a good, healthy soil system. So that's what we're trying to accomplish by this. And also it's supposed to test really well, like the feed value. So protein and energy for our cattle are supposed to do well. The other thing that is in it too are turnips and radishes, which are going to help with compaction of our soil. So here's a great shot of some of the oats and peas and other species in our mix. It looks great this year, especially compared to last year. So this field, we planted winter triticale in it last year, and we've never planted a winter crop before, so that was something new for us. And I had a previous video that was just talking about how dismal that crop was, and we thought it was crop failure. So we ended up just seeding this cover crop or polycrop right into it, because we had probably less than 20% germination of our winter trit. But I think that because this was new and we just kind of made an error in judgment there, and after we seeded our polycrop, the rest of the triticale really seemed to germinate. So we had great germination of our triticale after we had already seeded this other crop. So we were a little bit worried about how this would work. Like you can kind of see in the middle, it's that darker brown stuff that's turning because it was seeded so much earlier. So this was a mistake on our part. Parts of me didn't want to share that, right? It's hard sharing your mistakes, but this is a new venture for us. So I guess we were just expecting it to be able to graze like May and June. That was kind of the goal, but obviously that didn't happen. Part of the reason we wanted to plant this winter trip too was, I've said that we're on a bit of a soil health journey, and the more days you have a living root in the soil, that just helps soil health too, because there's more that the plant is putting in the soil and the microbes are feeding, and there's lots of activity. So that was the point of that, and then to have some good spring grazing. But anyhow, we're gonna get a lot of volume off it, and we talked to our nutritionist and he thought it should be fine. I mean, the feed value won't be as great because it's so mature, but we do usually feed straw with our silage, so that'll kind of be like our straw already pre-mixed in. Here's my office again for the next 2 weeks. Kyle's swathing right now, so he's cutting the standing crop with the swather, and then it'll lay it in a windrow like this line, and then he will drive over that with the chopper and chop all the crop, like all the oats or barley or turnips or whatever we have, into smaller pieces. So here's Kyle in the chopper and high dump. So he just goes over those windrows that are swathed, and then the chopper picks it up and feeds it through the knives and chops it into really small pieces. That just helps it become a little bit easier for the cows to digest and get a lot of nutrients out of it. And then once it's chopped, it blows out the spout into that high dump. And then when the high dump is full, that's when he'll dump the high dump into my truck and I'll take it to the pit.
Hi everyone, my name's Cassie Marchand. I'm Erika's friend from British Columbia. Erika and I were chatting about what summertime looks like on a ranch in British Columbia versus Saskatchewan, and we thought it'd be fun to bring you along and show you some of the comparisons. All the cattle that were home were turned out onto the ranges at the end of April, so it's pretty quiet around here in regards to livestock, but that doesn't mean that there's not a lot of other things going on around here keeping us busy. We're silaging this field now. This is where the cows were in the wintertime after they had calved, and we're getting a really great crop off of here. Dad's in front swathing right now, and then you can see this row that I'm in is drier, and these next couple are quite a bit wetter because they've just been cut. So it'll take a few hours for them to dry out before we're able to chop them as well. So now that we've picked up the crop and chopped it, we're dumping it into this truck here, and the truck's gonna haul it to the bagger, and then the bagger will put it into an airtight plastic wrap that will ferment it over the next few months, and then it will be ready for the cattle to eat when they come home off the range. Here's what was taken off the first cut of all the fields, and then there'll be a second cut and a third cut that will be taken before the end of the year as well. So this whole pad, and then as well as another area, will be filled with silage bags by the time we're all finished.
So here's the first load dumped of Silaging 2022. So all that just came out of our truck. The girls and I just got to the pit, unloaded it, and then my dad will start packing it, and we are going down back to the field for another load. So this is the field we just completed. We took 61 loads off this field, and again this was our cover crop field, so we were excited with what that yielded us. Took us 5 days, and now we're just moving equipment on to the next field. Very exciting. We already have more loads in the pit than we did last year with both our fields combined, so that's really exciting. Turnips are something that that are new for us to grow, and they were in that cocktail mix. One of the points of them is to help soil compaction, so that big like root of the turnip will get down in the soil and kind of break it up. And like the turnips turned out really good in this mix, so we're really excited. But as you can see with the silage, it cuts the leaves off, so we're excited to see if those will grow back and if the cows will eat the turnips, because like you can tell, we've taken this cut for silage, but the turnip's still in the ground. So yeah, just some exciting things that we're trying, and we'll have to report back to you guys to see if the cows eat them in the winter or if the tops grow back for us. The next field is what we call eddies, and that's where we feed the cows and winter the cows. So I just moved the truck there, we're just right over there. So that's where we're moving to next.
In order to grow a good crop, we want to have good sun, which we definitely have, as it's going to be 30 to 40 degrees this week, good soil, and some water. We live in what we classify as a desert, so water is definitely something that is lacked naturally without irrigation. And this is a pivot system that we put in last year that does a great job of keeping the ground watered. So now that the crop has been taken off this field, the irrigation has been put back on. So the irrigation on this field is all hand lines. So you can see here, and it's a little bit tricky to see, but they go right up and down both sides here, and they get changed every single day, which is a pretty big job to do. We always refer to ourselves as a ranching operation because cattle is our main focus, but there's definitely quite a bit of farming that takes place here as well. Thanks for joining to see what happens in British Columbia versus Saskatchewan on the farming side of a ranch, and we look forward to sharing more about the comparisons of the two provinces with you in upcoming videos.
So I'm so excited that this is our last load of Silaging 2022. So I just brought it into the pit here, and I just thought it would be fun to show everybody how much the pit's changed since the first load that we dumped. So there's our silage pit for this year, and hopefully we got enough to feed the cows. We have 141 loads this year, which is actually more than we've ever got, so we're really excited.
This is Bill's job for silaging, my dad. So he's the one that's in charge of packing the pit. So every time I dump a load of silage, he pushes it up and packs it. So when we say pack it, that means he drives over it and over it to try to squish it down and get all the oxygen out to prevent it from molding.
Thanks for joining us on Pine Ranch for silaging, and hopefully you can tune in for another video.